Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Dr. Avneet Kaur, Lecturer, Department of Preclinical Sciences, Faculty of Medical and Health Sciences from University Tunku Abdul Rahman. I will be moderating today's webinar titled The Emotional Brain, Unchain Your Age-Related Anxieties by Mr. Chok Moon Sung. The Mind Your Brain series is basically an event, a multi-event, spread over 6 months. It's jointly organized by Malaysia Mental Literacy Movement with Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences, Faculty of Science and Center for Research on Non-Communicable Diseases, University Tunku Abdul Rahman. A few words about our esteemed speaker for today. Mr. Chok Moon Sung is a qualified neuro-linguistic programming coach and an NLP trainer accredited by the NLP Association of Australia. He's also an International Coaching Federation coach and a certified clinical hypnotherapist with the British Society of Clinical Hypnosis. Besides extensive experience in the financial and payments industry, Mr. Chok Moon graduated as a civil engineer and has an MBA from Durham University in UK. He also holds a degree in psychology from University of Upper Iowa, USA, and is a certified financial planner in Malaysia. So, it's a multi-talented. I'm very surprised. While working in the financial industry, Mr. Chok Moon spends time working on executive coaching and also supported teams in financial goal planning. He is the Melbourne City lead for the voluntary US-based group called Sidewalk Talk Listeners, thus helping people who want to have a listening ear. He is a life coach and an NLP trainer, a change maker with the objective of igniting transformation through the alignment of values, beliefs, and identities, and promoting health and well-being for individuals and teams. Okay, it's almost, Mr. Chok Moon, are you ready?
I am ready. One of the qualifications I don't have is technical skills.
It's okay.
And I am having a little bit of problem screen sharing. Let me just do it another time.
No problems. I'll make some announcements, housekeeping announcements in the meantime. If you have any questions, please type them into the chat box in your Zoom control panel. Mr. Chok Moon has specifically asked me that I can interrupt him during the talk also because he wants the talk to be very interactive. So please post your questions anytime, any type of questions that you want, and I'll put them to him. I will also bring them up during the talk as well as during a dedicated Q&A session at the end of the webinar. To all Utah students and staff, kindly sign in your attendance in the link posted in the chat box. So now, without further delay, may I please invite Mr. Chok Moon. The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Avneet. Very good morning to you all. Thank you so much again, Avneet, for moderating this session. Now, this session really is about sharing what are the anxieties that one may have, or what are the worries that one have at the age of 50 and above. Now, I was told that I just assume at this moment that the people dialing in are those people who are age 50 and above, and I'm from the presentation here, I will just make that assumption. Now, this talk is really about how to understand what the common anxieties are when someone is age 50 and above, and also, more importantly, how to manage those anxieties. So I know previously, I mean, this is a series, and the previous talks, we have certain doctors giving medical advice and all these things. But here, I'm not a doctor, and therefore I can tell you I'm not giving you medical advice, but I am giving you some information, I wouldn't even call them advice, on how to manage those anxieties. from a psychological point of view, from a behavioral point of view. What I will not cover is things like, oh, it is how to exercise 5 times a day, half an hour. Those are not. This I am looking at the mental aspect of it. There may be people who may be less mobile because of age, because of less lower financial means, some with higher financial means. So they all have different issues, I would say, or different concerns, things that keep them awake at night. And talking about keeping them awake at night, I'm just thinking that a lot of people at the age 50 and above, especially even the 70s and 80-year-olds, they probably have a little bit of issue with keeping falling asleep easily at night. So what I really hope to do is this talk is to raise that awareness of those anxieties and how to manage them. I would not use the word overcome, because sometimes it is not about overcoming them, but managing them so that you live a normal, healthy, fruitful life. Now, this audience, as I say, is supposed to be 50 and above. It is like trying to have a talk for a 1-year-old child to a 40-year-old man or woman. It is so wide that a 1-year-old child would have very different needs from a 40-year-old man or woman. So while I'm trying to sort of cluster the 50 and above, I totally understand that the issues or the concerns, the worries are very different. So 50-year-old would look at probably, oh, will I be employable now if I go look for a job? Because, oh, I'm 50-year-old already, and I don't know whether the demand for 50-year-olds is as much as a 30-year-old. Probably not. But then for a 80-year-old, that thing is not about probably employment, but is about health. So the concern is health. So I'm going to sort of cluster all these together, and some of the comments are very generic and very general, but it may apply to one group of people, but not another group of people. Another point I want to say is some of my own beliefs, and I am guilty of having my own beliefs in here, is that I may make certain comments which may offend some people, and it's not meant to offend, because if I were to say, hey, go exercise, someone will say, I'm in a wheelchair, I can't. So it may offend the person who is in the wheelchair. I mean, it's not meant to be such, but it's meant to be, as I say, a general comment. As I said earlier, I mean, there are two main objectives for this remaining part of the hour. Awareness of the common anxieties for those aged above 50 and above, and how to manage these anxieties. So let me just go very quickly on talking about what anxieties are in the first place. I mean, different people have different interpretations of what anxieties are. Now, anxieties causes feelings of fear, of worry, or apprehensions that is disproportionate to a normal situation. I mean, it is disproportionate. I mean, everybody worries about something a little bit. Some people worries something a lot, and that becomes an issue. So if you worry a little bit, no issue. I mean, I worry about, oh, whether I'm healthy or not. I worry about whether I am I will have a what they call financial means to last me the rest of my life. So these are little worries, but it doesn't stop me from taking action or doing things or interacting. So those are not disproportionate to the situation. So if it is disproportionate to the situation, then anxiety is something that you need to look at. Obviously, different ages have different anxieties. I say a 50-year-old man or woman would probably worry about employability, about some of it health, but a much older person is very much about looking at health. Now, the thing that is I want to sort of ask is, and I do put those comments on the chat box, what are the common anxieties for you? And I suggest you put your comments on your chat box. This is a question. Anybody want to sort of put their anxieties on the chat box? Health, yep, that's a very common health. What else? Before I ask a little bit more, anxiety related to health and finances. Yep, career, time. Oh, time, faith, World War III. Yes, it's getting scary, isn't it? Relationship. Our next generation, mental health. Next gen. Very good, very good. Work-related deadlines. So I look at things like work-related deadlines, things to do with career. I would imagine that these people are still working and therefore worry about inflation. There's a global concerns, yes. So those work-related deadlines and those career, they are people who are working now. And therefore, I would say that their concerns may be employability, as I say, about the general thing, job stability. Now, for those who put career or job work-related work-related anxieties, can somebody just type something? What do you mean by that? Because different people have different sort of views about what their worries are in terms of career. I do coaching and I do executive coaching, and a lot of these concerns actually about career, especially when they are quite senior, is actually respect from other people. So they actually sort of their career is not worry about relating to financial, but their of employability. They are worried about respect, worry about their influence on the organization when they are quite senior. I mean, career instability is one of them. So definitely, this is something that is important. Now, I sort of interested after graduation, can I find a job? I would think that this person would not be in the 50 age group. But having said that, I don't want to dismiss myself. I do have friends, and I do myself go into taking courses even when I am 50 and above. So I think but it can also well be someone who is only in the 20s, no concern about such. Yes, sufficient funds for us after retirement. And this is a very, very common what they call concern. Now, I have this thing. Now, I'm not sure whether you have seen, this is the circle of life. And when we look at this, there are these areas like health, personal growth, friendship, family, relationship, career. All these are aspects of our life. And the question is that you look at it, a lot of it is already in the chat box. Health. Now, as you grow older, there's a tendency the body don't work as well as others, and there's things like mobility issues, like not able to move about so much, and there's also fitness, things relating to fitness. Those are things that that worries people as they grow older. Like another example would be high blood pressure, diabetes, those sort of health related concerns. And then of course, finances. Finances is something that someone already put in sufficient funds after retirement, because we don't know when our last day will be. So there will be this concern about, oh, how much can I spend that I won't run out of money? And if I do run out of money, who can help me with it? Will my children, if I have children, be able to support me from then on? Or do I have to continue working until a point where I cannot work, or because of whatever reason, health or something? And then there's this concerns about family. Family of where children grow up, they are worried about them having the right career, the right choices in terms of partners, the in-laws, relationship with in-laws. Those are the things that pop up as one grow older. And then, of course, there is this thing about grandchildren for some. Whether, again, you want to sort of help out or advise your son or daughters how to take care of the grandchildren because you know better, that sort of things. So you see that they are not doing as well, they don't know how to do it, and you come in and give them the advice. So you're always worried about those things as a family. Now, creativity, I will drop that because this is something that's important when they're younger, but a lot of times I think creativity will kick in if you are very passionate about music or art or something to make yourself busy in your latter years. Career, I know someone already said that, that whether you're employable at all or whether your job opportunities will shrink or not. Relationship. Now, that is something that many people, older folks actually, and I say older folks is 50 and above, since we are talking about, gets worried about, because the number of friends sometimes shrink. Over time, because a lot of people are very focused on their careers. They build their career, but sometimes don't build many friendships along the way because they just don't have time. And as they grow older, once they retire or about to retire, they see that their social circle has shrunk over the years. I have a friend, who was so busy. Everybody is trying to sort of so-called date him for business. That means, or call him up to have a drink, or have a cup of coffee to when he was a CEO of a company. But then when he retired, none of those friends called him, not because they are avoiding him, but because these people are busy and they called him in the past for business purposes. And then he felt so left out. Nobody wants to now have coffee or tea with me at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which in the past is like everybody was trying to do it when he was the CEO of the company. So he felt very left out. And so that sort of social circle shrink, or that people don't have the time for you now, although you have the time after retirement. And so there's a mismatch of this. So that is something that people worry about as they grow older. And then, of course, there's the social friendship, which is again something to do with what I've just said about that relationship. Relationship also can mean things like relationship with spouses, with children. The children grows up, they have less time for you too. I mean, that applies to me as well. I mean, I have grown up children, and so they are busy with their work. They don't have so much time as what they used to be. Last time, and I used to complain, oh, I don't have time for myself. It's all about the kids. But now, oh, I'm alone. So that's what it is. I'm a personal growth. The last leg of that wheel of life. When a lot of people, I realize, don't focus very much on personal growth, as in developing their minds, their knowledge and all this as they grow older. It's like, oh, I'm already old. There's nothing I want to sort of really learn. And that's where I actually start to sort of challenge that idea about personal growth as you grow older. By the way, I don't know whether you know, I am already 62. I'm keep on learning. So I love that personal growth bit. So that doesn't mean that everybody needs to, but I always say that personal growth is something that one needs to pay attention to, because a later part of it, and as to how to manage those anxieties, I will talk a bit more about this thing about personal growth. So that's this about the anxieties. Now, the thoughts that you have, generally, when you were younger, what is the first thing? Normally people say, oh, when I retire, I have plenty of time to do my things. Oh, there's so much time for holiday, to vacation. I don't have to wake up at whatever time it is, 7 o'clock to go to work, and I can sleep as long as I want. I don't have work stress, just zero stress when I grow older and I'm financially independent. And then a lot of parents, I noticed that a lot of Australian parents especially say this, like, oh, I have freedom from the kids. I don't have to take care of them anymore. So I just think that when you grow to that age, it's like, oh, I miss them, I miss all the noise that they make, all the fights that they do with each other, fighting with the children fighting with each other. And then there is this thing about regrets. Oh, I have not done this yet. I should have done more of this. I should have done not. I think most people would say should have done more of something when they regret. They ruminate and always like, oh, this is not good. That is all the good old days is what we are looking at. So, and of course, the thing that comes to mind for most people and almost everyone is health, which somebody already put in the chat box, or a few people have put in the chat box. Your health. You may have high blood pressure. There is this high cholesterol level. You may have diabetes, or I don't know, poorer eyesight, hearing is not so good. So health is something that concerns a lot of people. Signs of excessive stress. Oh, let me go back first. What are those signs of excessive stress? How do you recognize that you have excessive stress? One is you cannot sleep at night. You have difficulty going to sleep because you worry about this, that, or other. Sleep is a very common indicator of stress, even when you are 30 years old, 20 years old, or 10 years old. Generally, when people are stressed, they can't sleep. The other one is refusing social activities. You don't mix with people. You don't mix as much with people, rather. And therefore, it becomes it is a sign that perhaps your stress level is a little bit high. And there is of others who does what they call self-medication with alcohol. Oh, have a drink so to drown all their so-called sorrows. So that's another indication. Perhaps another one which is equally worrying is that refuse routine activities. Refusing routine activities like even bathing or brushing the teeth, that sort of thing. And that becomes that there is a hygiene element to this, and they're not paying so much attention to those hygiene factors. And that is another sign to me, is a sign that the anxiety is excessive. The question now, most importantly, I'm just looking at the time. What time is it now? It's 12 plus. Okay, just the time is just right. How do you manage these anxieties? I think that's the most important bit, isn't it? I mean, sometimes you know that this is what it is, you have this stress or this anxiety and that or that anxiety, but how do you manage them? Now, what I have are three things, and they are very simple three things to think about or to do. But while it may be simple, it can also be equally hard. Let me just start with this. I would be interested, before I continue, to sort of see some messages in the chat box. Answer to this question: who are you now? I'll just pause for a while and let people type in their comments. Sounds like a very simple question. As I say, it's a very simple question. Anyone? A Malaysian? Yes, you are a Malaysian. Yes. Okay. A wife, mother. Yes, mother, children, employee, supervisor, kakak. Okay. No, that's very good, Wong. This is exactly what I'm looking for, because everyone has multiple roles. You know, you can be a wife, a husband, a mother, a child, because of your different roles, you have different behaviors. Like, for instance, a wife, I mean, I'm making a general statement here. A wife may be so to take care of children, then your role is to take care of children, that take care of the home, you take care of your what take care of whatever. I mean, as a wife, what do wives do, so you have the spousal responsibility, and then you are also a child to your parents, and therefore you have that role of take care of their parents, and both financially or in terms of time, having dinner with them. So you have those roles. And then as an employee, you would have other roles. So you are the employee of a company, and your responsibility is to your peers and your organization and your subordinates, especially. And then you have, of course, the kakak maid thing that whatever kakak or maids do, like house cleaning or whatever your maid does. So this is something that you need to look at, and look at it what I call in depth, because I am very glad nobody actually sort of said, which I'm going to say it, and I don't mean to be impolite, is I am a diabetic, I am a I'm a what I call high blood pressure patient, I am a what I call, I'm a cancer victim patient. So although a lot of people, we don't say these things, but we actually brand ourselves occasionally, label ourselves based on our illnesses. I mean, I have coached someone who says that I am a schizophrenia. And he came to me like, oh, okay, he started off with that thing. And then later on, when I talked to him, it was like, that was not even a psychiatrist or psychologist, what they call, labeling him that. It was somehow the parents labeled him as such and prescribed him medication based on that. It's like, wow, okay, that person sees himself as a schizophrenic. And that's a frightening thing. Now, if you have views or labels of yourself that are positive, fantastic. Like most of times, mother, wife, children, this, I am myself. Okay, that needs a bit of definition, what that means. Like even if you say you are Mrs. Wong, you are all, oh, you actually, that person is sort of agreeing to Mrs. Wong. I thought that person says, I am Mrs. Wong. That itself is an identity. That is who you are. A lot of people introduce, I'm Mrs. So-and-so. That in some way implies what? That I'm a wife to someone. Is it? Or the other way is, you are Miss Wong. Then you know that, oh, perhaps that person is not married. So you are giving an identity to that person purely based on that. As I say, if your what they call identity of who you are is negative, then I would suggest you relook at those identity as an action here to see how you can work on it to change that identity. Sometimes the identity is, I'm just reading some of that, I've sort of examples. I'm sickly, I am lonely, I am I am wheelchair bound, as an example. So this identity that you have determines who you are. As I say, you need to change that identity if you find that that identity is negative. A good example that I have of my identity which is negative is, I am not an exercise person. A lot of people say that either directly or indirectly. If you see yourself as not an exercise person, how would you behave? You will probably behave in the side, oh, I don't exercise. But you know that as you grow older, more and more exercise is needed. Not more and more, you need exercise. You need to move. So if you don't exercise and you see yourself as that, your identity is you are not an exercise person, then that will be an area that is of concern, and that will create a lot of anxieties that comes out from not exercising. So any comments, any feedback, any the disagreements on this about what you need to do as in to sort of overcome anxiety is first looking at who you are. If not, then I'll just move on. Okay, the next thing is to focus on solutions. A lot of times, be it older or younger, we look at a problem and not look at the solution. Let me just elaborate that a little bit. I was saying earlier about, oh, that person is a diabetic, that person has high blood pressure, that person has high cholesterol. From the health perspective, I think that is a label that is given to yourself, but at the same time, what does it do? Nothing. It doesn't do anything for you other than you know that you are a diabetic, or you have high blood pressure, or you have or some health issues. But focus on the solution. What is that solution to bring your cholesterol level down? What is that solution to bring your blood sugar level down? Those things are the solutions. So be solution focused. Look at the solution rather than just the problem. I have talked to so many people that they say, oh, I have high blood pressure, or I have high cholesterol level. And the common one that I always like to poke fun of is that they will follow up that I have high cholesterol level and it's in my genes. I inherited that. I'm a victim of my parents who have bad genes. So there is this tendency, oh, I'm just a victim. Nothing I can do. There's no solution because it's in the genes already. So to me, that is not a good way to overcome anxiety or issues with old age. It is like, yes, cholesterol level may be caused by affected by your genes. Your genes affect your cholesterol level, but that doesn't mean that it's 100%. So if you take fatty foods, you take certain have certain diet, that may aggravate or improve your cholesterol level. So I'm using cholesterol level as just an example of solution. A lot of times when we only look at the issue and put yourself as a victim that I can't do anything, there is no solution, that becomes an issue. So focus on the solution. Now, the final one is have a goal. So there's another one actually, that the focus on solution, have a goal. Have a goal as to what you want to achieve. Like exercise, like what is the goal? To be fit, to reduce your cholesterol level by X, to improve your memory by Y, or to be able to walk X distance. Have a goal. I started off with the circle of life with personal growth, and I would say that if you have a goal of a personal growth, then you will sort of be mentally strong a lot longer, and also be more healthy. I would imagine that having that growth in your personal development. Personal development always goes with people like, oh, I'm too old to learn this. I'm too old to learn music. I'm too old to learn Tai Chi, or I don't know, whatever that is, So a lot of times we put the sort of blame on old age. And because I'm old, I don't need to, I don't want to, I can't achieve something, like learning something. So have a goal, and that's, to me, very critical. Last one is to act, to do it. Now, a lot of times we may have a solution, we know of a solution, we have a goal, but if we don't lift our finger to do something, then it is just wasted. doing something is not just about, oh, sitting down. As I use an example of cholesterol. Oh, I have, it's in my genes, high cholesterol, so I don't do anything because I'm a victim. I would say that doing things is like, in this particular case of a cholesterol level, is having the right diet and exercise. Now, one of the things that I would suggest doing is, everybody has different capabilities at different, because of our different age and individuality. So I would encourage you, first of all, to read this book called The Atomic Habits, which I just love. And it is about doing a little bit more. Like, for instance, to act is to walk 100 meters. And your goal is to walk 100 meters, but I suggest you walk 100 meters today, walk 110 meters tomorrow, walk 120 meters the next day. Every day, you just increase it by a little bit. Even if, say, if when you walk, it hurts a little bit, I would say just take one more step. When it starts to hurt, take just one more step. Every day, when you take that one more step, it becomes something that you will keep improving and build on. I tell you that, let me give you an example that I'm not trying to sort of brag or anything like that. I am not a sports person at all when I was young. And so running and all these things is not something that I do. And I always say, at that time, I don't have time to do this, because I have by the time I go to office early, I leave office late, and I don't have time for exercise. Until when COVID hit, I suddenly have 3 hours additional time, because I don't have the commute. And I put myself to act on exercise. And that act is actually, I started off with running 1 km. And then I started to move 250 meters each time. The next time I run, not every day, the next time I run 1.25. And the next day I run 1.5. You know what? I managed to do 11K after some time. And when it goes to higher, I didn't force myself to do 250 meters. I only increased it by 100 meters. And then later on, only 50 meters. But it adds up. And I was quite impressed with myself and say, for someone who have never run more than 1 km or 2 km all my life, I managed to do this long run, a slow run, or I must say, a very slow run, but I don't walk, I keep on running. And that's the little things that you act, where you act and you push yourself to do a little bit more each time. So that's the thing, 3 things that you sort of need to focus on: the solution, have a goal, and act. But first, you need to understand who you are, where you are now, to sort of improve. So I am going to stop here to say that while you focus on these 3 things, first thing, you need to accept who you are. If you have mobility issues, like you can't run that much or walk that far, you have to accept that you only can do, say, 50 meters. And then you just move yourself, give yourself 1 step, walk 1 step further, 2 steps further. If you are great at running, then accept that you're able to run this, but still push yourself. The other one is believe in yourself. Believe in yourself that you can do it. Putting, oh, I'm old, and therefore I can't do it, would be negative. I love this one about because being an NLP person, visualization is most important. When I'm talking about visualization, visualize whatever, like visualize if health is important, because quite a few of you mentioned this. Visualization about yourself being fit. A lot of people, when they talk to people, if they have, say, I'm just saying, knee problem, they talk to everyone about knee problem. But do they actually visualize or imagine that what happened when they recover from it? How would they look like? How do they feel? What would they see when they don't have that knee problem anymore? So that visualization is really important to see yourself well, rather than look at yourself as it is, who you are, as in I have knee problem, and look at it and say I have a knee problem, but I visualize myself once I recover, I would have this sort of feeling. I will be able to walk faster. I at this pace I can wear whatever shorts or whatever that is. See, feel, and hear what you are when you are well. And the final one, that your identity, that I talk quite a bit about. And there's this question from Joanne saying, what book is it? It's called Atomic Habits by James Clear. Okay, very good. Thank you so much, Dr. Amrit. Okay, I'm going to stop here, and this is a summary. And for those people who want to contact me to sort of talk a bit about this, I am happy to. I mean, although I have put a price to these things, the reason why actually I do this price is that in the past, when I put as free, a lot of people just set up the time and then I block off my calendar and then the person don't turn up. So that's why I put a small fee to it and say, okay, then chances are the person will pop up at a allocated time. So that's the reason why I do it anyway. So I'm happy to actually sort of take questions from here. Dr. Ahmed.
Yeah, so I'll request all the audience members to post any questions they have now. So we'll start up the Q&A session now. Yeah. So one question we got from the Google Forms, how to be a mentally independent person.
How to be a mentally independent person. Let me stop sharing screen first. Now, I am thinking, how can you not be mentally independent? Are you the person who asked that question, if there's a person doubt in, does that person depend, oh, I want somebody to remember where I keep my socks, or that person then is not mentally independent, that you need somebody to remember something for that person? Is that what that question is about?
I think so, yes.
Okay. Now, memory is one thing. Now, let me just start with mentally independent. First thing is, decide that you can be mentally independent. Decide that you first, in all my coaching sessions that I do and all my colleagues do and all this, it is all about deciding for yourself right now and here that you are mentally independent. And what does that mentally independent mean? To have memory, that you don't have to rely on someone else. Even if you do have to rely on them, calendarize it. Put in a calendar, put in a to-do list. Now, mentally independent is things also mean thinking, decision making. So if the decision you give it to someone to decide, then I would say that you have abdicated that independence. You have given that to someone else to decide. So pull it back. Pull it back. And when you say, ask someone, if someone asks you, do you want a cup of coffee? You don't ask that person, oh, should I have that cup of coffee? But you then be decisive and say, yes, I want that cup of coffee. No, I don't want that cup of coffee. So you make that call. So there's nothing for someone to say no, unless that person points the gun at you. And even then, you decide. If someone points the gun and say, you must have this cup of coffee, you will, in your mind, say, because you have that gun, I am mentally independent to make that decision to say, yes, I have that cup of coffee. So I think the whole thing revolves around just decide for yourself that, yes, you are independent. And I think it goes back to the point about who are you? Are you a reliant person, or are you an independent person? So it is who you are that you decide for yourself. So whoever that asks that question, you are independent. Tell yourself you are independent. You make decisions. You make the call. Getting too stressed over 2 years, even I am.
Two masters.
What is I am too masters?
It's a comment that a person is feeling too stressed even after having 2 master degrees.
Ah, right. Well, first of all, I'm glad that you are aware of your own stress. Okay. Now, the fact that you are joining this, I don't know whether you are too stressed, but perhaps you recognize that you are stressed. So if I may ask, what stress are you facing? Now, the reason why I ask while you're typing, the reason why I ask is this. Stress and 2 masters it doesn't correlate. You know, what you have in terms of qualifications, your makeup, who you are, does not equate to stress. So you may be too stressed due to no work. That means that your stress is because you can't find employment. Is that correct? I think that sounds like it, isn't it? So you are stressed because, oh, right. Now, you can't find employment because you are looking for employment within your master's, the qualifications that you have, or you can't find employment, period. Probably, okay, you would like to work in any field. Now, I am not being trivial or anything like that. I just want to draw that example, stretch it to the limit. Can you go to a coffee shop and serve coffee? Now, that's employment. Of course, it is nowhere, it's a blue-collar work, it's a blue-collar job, and therefore you will see it as that's not the job that I want. So you may be able to find employment. You're stressed because you won't find employment that suits your requirements. My suggestion is perhaps you need to broaden your job opportunities, and perhaps even lower your own expectations a little bit so that you will get something in the meantime. Now, I have lived in Malaysia for a long time, and only last about 9 years I've been in Australia. And I find that the culture difference is so huge that in Australia, whether you clean the toilet or something, because of pay also, people are okay with it. So a lot of graduates, they come in, they work as in cafes, they work in supermarkets, they work in cleaning, pushing shopping trolley carts, those sort of things. Now, and there is less stigma attached to, oh, you are a graduate, therefore you need to have a white collar job. And so there is this big cultural difference. And I am suggesting perhaps that, Amutha, you look at lowering that and not brand blue collar jobs as, not that I know that you are doing that, I'm just guessing, okay? Because generally Malaysians are like this. I am like this. I grew up in Malaysia, and it's like once I graduate, I can conquer the world. Think after that I start working, then I find that, oh, I can't. I'm still doing sales. I started doing sales, and at that time when I joined a bank doing sales, I was so soft. My self-esteem went down because I find that, hey, I am a degree holder, I have a master's. Why are you asking me to do sales? But now, today, after many years, I'm a salesman. So, maybe Amutha, if you want to, you can just contact me and have a chat on this a little bit more. Yes, very good. Very good. You mingle around. So you are getting there. Actually, you mingle around, you sort of do freelance facilitation and all this. That's wonderful. That's fantastic. But I think you're still stressed because you don't get the job that you really aspire to. Not yet. But you have that goal. Just now I'm talking about that goal. Have a goal. And once you firm up that goal, visualize what you want to achieve, and when you achieve it, how you look, feel, and hear. That visualization process, you will. The next one is how to help or advise. I'm just looking at the time. Oh, we are 5 minutes past. I am sorry. I dragged on a little bit too long. Now, for those people who need to drop out, please drop out. But those, if Dr. Afneet, you are okay to stay for another 2 minutes?
Ms. Wong, there's a question, how to help or advise someone. Example, always think he's the victim and this is his destiny. So a very relevant question.
What is that question? Help, advise, example, always think he's a victim. This is his destiny. Yes. Now, that is one of the biggest coaching things that we do, as where people think themselves as a victim. So it requires a level of mindset change to see that. And that, again, one of the things that I normally use to change that mindset is think of asking the person, okay, you are a victim of this. Now, think of what you can do to change that situation. The doing is important. That's minor thing about. So looking at sometimes it's very difficult to sort of change that mindset of the person, thinking that I'm a victim, I'm a victim, I'm a victim. And then next thing is ask them to do something. So changing the mindset, it can be changing their behaviors, changing their identity, which is, if once you change that identity, then it becomes very powerful. Changing their values, understanding what's important for them. Changing their thoughts. is another thing. So there are various levels of changing, and the easiest, I mean, without coaching that person, the easiest would be just telling them to do the little things first. Like, I am a victim of diabetes. So yes, I am a victim, but then, okay, what can you do? Just have that discussion. What can you do to sort of reduce that? So there is this thing about destiny. I mean, that's that same question. Now, a lot of people sometimes, the highest level of change is actually the spiritual or the religion level. Once you believe in a particular thing, then all the rest of the items like your identity, your behavior all change. So if that person in some way thinks it's destiny because it's, pardon the use the word, God's thing for that person, then that change needs to go to the thing like, if God can do this to you, God can do something else to you too, which is the positive side. So if God gives you diabetes, then God can also cure your diabetes if that person believes in destiny. So that is a bit of logic that is involved. I hope I have answered that. I need to move on to any thoughts on why older folks become condescending and belittle younger folks. Now, I just believe, that's my own belief, that the older folks will look at younger folks as say they lack experience, they are impulsive, they don't take responsibility. And then what will the older folks say? The younger folks say of older folks, they are slow, they are mentally retarded. So everyone looks at the other group as negative. I would say that, how does it affect you as an individual? You can't stop another person from having those views, but you can change the way you look at things yourself. If that person is negative to you or condescending to you, there are few choices. One is you ignore it. The other one is, of course, you accept it. The third one is you try to educate that person. Another one would possibly be you try to irritate that person back. There are a few choices that you can make. Now, I would not suggest you irritate that person back. That will start a war, World War III, just how somebody would say. But it will, I would think that you just interpret and accept and reject whatever you think is right or wrong. And that's it. You are not the victim of their comment. You decide. You are the what you call decider on how you behave. So this is what I would think that. Now, let's have a problem. I think your father, I mean, since you mentioned it is your father, I must say that fathers all meant well. I mean, in NLP that we learned that every action has a positive intention to it. Everyone has a positive intention to whatever they do. Your father has that positive intention. I'm just guessing that he wants you to improve. He wants you to do better because, like most parents, they have this what I call reflected glory. When you succeed, they succeed. They have pride in the children's success. So therefore, I would suggest that you actually can have an honest heart-on-heart talk with your dad, or you sometimes ignore those comments and just because you don't want to be rude as well, just think that, okay, this is what he says, but that's he has a positive intention and he meant well. for you. And I think most parents meant well for their children, although their children don't see it that way at times. I'm speaking as a father too. I know, Dr. Avnit, you also laugh a little bit. I don't know whether you're.
No, yeah, I agree. I agree completely.
Very good. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Avnit, to sort of moderate this session, and thank you, Utah, for hosting this.
And thank you everyone for giving us your precious time, and stay safe.